Well, if he's got 2 years of knowledge.
It's March of 2003, for those of you who may be viewing this outside that time frame, and we're once again inside CVPH Medical Center, but in something that's brand spanking new with our friend Mike Hildebrand. How are you, Mike?
Hey, I'm great, and I'm just very pleased that you're here today, and you can show all your viewers this wonderful new intensive care unit that I'm sure as we go along, they'll see we're putting the finishing touches on just a few days before actually opening up and moving the patients from the existing ICU.
This is my first peek in here, and I have to tell you, I'm very, very impressed.
Well, it is a very spacious, well-designed, well-laid-out facility. I think one of the things you're going to hear as you talk to staff members is the tremendous input that they had in actually designing all this and determining, hey, we want this, we don't want that. They went out, they looked at some other facilities, talked to people who had in the past built a new unit, said what works, what doesn't work, and always they had the best interests of the patient in mind. And I know when you speak with Kathleen Carey, the unit director, she's going to talk in great detail about all of the things that they did to help patients from an aesthetic standpoint, above and beyond just the tried and true clinical end of it. But you're also going to see some marvelous bells and whistles with the high technology. And I'll tell you, we have so many people who are excited about this. At the open houses we've held, people have just come in and raved. I know I was talking to Dr. Frank Oldie last night, and he was laughing, saying that sometime back in the 1980s, he was working on plans at that time,
really?
with the committee. It's taken a long time, but all I can say is I think that people are finding that the wait has been well worth it, and we're going to have a first-class facility that's second to none.
You know, one of the tremendous advantages in growing old is the fact that you've seen a lot of things. And I've been in this town for well over 40 years, and I've seen a lot of things not only in this town, but at this facility. And I just get more excited. It seems like only yesterday when you and I were standing outside the new emergency services center here, and we were talking about that facility, and now it's not old hat because it's still state of the art, but that was what, how many years ago?
That opened in August of 1997.
Think about that.
Yes.
I had just left the radio business earlier that year, and that was, we had done a few television programs by that time, but that was a beautiful facility. We've done a lot of shows on this campus about CVPH Medical Center, including several wonderful programs last year about its history, dating back to the advent of Physicians Hospital when it first came here. Earlier this week, we did a television show on an entirely different topic at a place called Champlain Valley Hall, which was part of the old Champlain Valley Hospital before the two merged. So I think by the time we're finished, we will have told most of the story of the hospitals in this town, and I, for one, am thrilled and delighted.
Well, Gordy, just last evening we were having an open house for the medical staff and the board, and I was talking to one of the nurses from the intensive care unit here who suddenly started telling these marvelous ghost stories that you would have absolutely loved.
Where was I with the camera?
I mean, it was just absolutely fascinating. All the stories she was telling about incidents here.
Well, as I was driving around this facility, and I do it all the time, I look and I say, okay, that's the old part, and they added so-and-so here, and they did this there. It's really a collection of wonderful buildings and architecture and history that goes all the way back to way back into actually the last century, and that's what makes it cool. So if there are a few ghosties around here, so be it.
Absolutely.
I love it. I've written a few of those stories, and the old-time nurses have great stories to tell. For a while, we didn't tell the ghost stories because we were afraid to frighten people, but it seems like everybody loves to be frightened by ghost stories, so we tell them now. But it is a wonderful facility. You've been here, Michael, how long?
11 and a half years, Gordy. I came in late October of 1991.
So you've seen some tremendous changes, and there are more to come. I mean, it doesn't begin to cover everything that's planned for this place.
No, I mean, it's so exciting because through the years we have, as you said, added so many new services and new programs. I mean, just next month, if everything goes right, we're going to be making PET scanning available for patients. I think it's 2 days a week with a mobile unit, and that's some kind of very high-tech diagnostic equipment that will be coming in. Obviously, we've got plans for open heart surgery and angioplasty that are extremely exciting. And of course, this unit itself is so essential for going into open heart surgery and angioplasty. And we're well positioned because we remain on the second floor, very close to the operating room, very close to the cardiac catheterization lab where all the angioplasty work will be done. And later in the year, we'll be adding all new cardiac cath digital equipment, so we'll be just top of the line there.
Truly a regional medical center, and doesn't it please you, as I know it pleases Calvin and myself, to be standing here and saying positive things about a hospital in this day and age where positive things aren't always happening at hospitals across the nation. This hospital is very unique and special in many ways, isn't it?
Well, we've got a great staff. We really do. People here in the North Country, I think, take a lot of pride in the facility. They work hard. They've gone the extra mile. I mean, we've spent the last several months with census far higher than we ever anticipated, and yet people have rolled up their sleeves and they're getting the job done. And I think you've got a board of directors that has determined through the years, hey, we don't want to be just what we are today. We want to keep getting better and trying to be more successful and meet the needs of the region. And certainly the programs we've added seem to have worked fine, so I guess there's been a need.
You know, and it's nice to be fairly close to what's happening here, and I've mentioned it several times, and I've served for a few years on the foundation board, and you've become even more involved with that foundation board lately, and I must say, things are working. I mean, when you say it's a team in this medical center, it's really true. Everybody works together for the good end, you know?
Well, it is. I mean, CVPH, like all hospitals, it's a very complex organization, and you've got lots of people doing different specialized things. And I think we have a really good team here today that does pull together, that is quick to recognize, hey, you could help me a lot, and people do work well. And I think that I think it extends beyond that. I think that today, in the 11 years that I've been here, we probably have the best working relationship that we've had with agencies in the community. We have a great rapport with the health department. And, you know, I think a lot of people are feeling good, but again, it's a collective effort. It's not because we're doing a great job, it's because everyone
It's
involved.
because you're doing a great job, don't be modest, but everybody is. In a town this size, you've got the media aboard. I mean, I see so many wonderful stories in the newspaper. I hear your reports on the radio. Television is here at your beck and call. I imagine they have been or will be here this week
Sure.
to cover this because they like new things too. I mean,
Right.
and I think the size of this area has something to do with it. You can make an easier coordinated effort when you have an area this size.
Right, and I think CVPH is a good story.
It's a great story.
People are interested in health care in general. We are the largest employer in the region, and we have been adding new things, and again, there's been a high quality. One of our commitments is if we're going to do it right, we're going to do it well, and so that everyone involved, including the people who are going to use the services, feel good about the experience.
Well, we're going to have some fun today. If you've just been titillated by the views you've seen in the span of this camera, wait till we start talking with people and get down to the nitty-gritty about this new center, which will be opening officially when, Michael?
If all goes according to plan, it opens Monday morning, March 24th at 8 a.m. They will actually be wheeling the patients that are in the existing ICU in their beds, and I understand they are using the new beds already, right into this unit.
I can't wait to see it happen. I don't want anybody to be sick, but I can't wait to see the kind of treatment that people will be getting here, and I know it'll be the best available. Stay with us. I think we're going to have a great day. I'd only been here for about 20 seconds, and they carefully diverted me from the lunch table. Son of a gun. I could smell that lunch, and everybody did offer to share their chips with me, right, Linda?
Right, I offered.
This is Linda Manchester. What's your role up here, Linda?
I'm one of the clinical coordinators for the intensive care unit.
What do you think so far? Are you sharing the excitement that everybody else is showing this week?
Yes, we have been waiting for many years for this, and we're just like all ecstatic. We can't wait to move in on Monday. So,
Well, it's going to happen. It didn't
is.
seem like it would ever happen, but now it's going to happen.
I've been here over 20 years, and I've been waiting for over 20 years for this, so I said I'm not retiring until I actually work in a new unit.
I'd love to get a little history from people I interview. Linda, how did you get involved in the nursing field?
I started out as a Pinky candy striper
Yeah.
way back when. And I knew it was age of 8. That's what I wanted to do. I
Did
saw
you
an
really?
article in a magazine, and I said, that's what I want to do. I want to become a nurse. And I've actually done that. And I was a unit clerk when they first started unit clerks many, many years ago. I was the first in my hospital, and here I am.
Well, Michael's been around here for a while, and I've been in this area for well over 40 years, and we've seen so many fantastic changes
Oh, yeah.
in this facility.
Yes, it's remarkable. Just with the Fitzpatrick Cancer Center being added on, and the new emergency room, the mental health units being, much needed. I mean, it's
We've been
great.
to so many open houses, it's almost
Yeah.
like a blur down
Yeah.
through the years, and it just keeps happening.
Yeah.
And it's all for the benefit of the people who are viewing this program, and we can't say enough times between now and the time we finish that this is your medical center. I mean,
It's for the
you
community.
are a part of this community, and it behooves you to stop in like this at an open house and check it out.
You're right.
As I was talking with Michael a few minutes ago, I wanted to mention, and forgot, of course, how pleased I am every time I see one of those letters to the editor saying, oh, those wonderful people, and they'll name whatever unit their
Right.
loved one was in, and how nice people. Doesn't that make you feel good?
It makes us feel really good because in intensive care we don't always get to see the patients when they leave our unit and see how they do and when they go home, and we encourage people, if you get a chance, come back and let us know how you're doing. It's very important for us just to say, okay, we did do a good job, and the patients did get better and go home, and that's our whole that's what we want to do. That's our mission, to make people better, and now we're going to be in a beautiful unit, and people are just going to feel, oh, this is a nice place. We have windows, and we've got clocks in every room. The beds are much lower for our vertically challenged patients and some of our nurses.
Okay.
But
Vertically challenged nurses?
well, But yes, and state of the art. We've had a lot of input from the nurses and the doctors in
That's
design.
a good thing, isn't it?
Yes, it is, because we're the ones that work in the unit, and the doctors too, so they need to have the input, and the administration has been very supportive.
Let's talk about this room specifically.
Okay, well, we have this nice bed, which I think you should get in,
You
Gordy.
think so, huh?
Yeah, I think you really
So
need...
you can really demonstrate it?
Exactly.
All right.
If you just want to...
Want to hop up here?
Oh, just hop right up.
I've been in a lot of interesting places. Earlier this week, Calvin had me in a chair that I swore wouldn't hold me up, and it did.
Well, this
Oh,
bed-
this is good.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys about 3:30.
Nice and comfortable,
Set the
right?
alarm.
Okay, now this bed...
What does she owe?
This bed actually gets made into a chair, so our patients that are not able to stand on their own 2 feet until we get them stronger, we can make this into a chair so they're into that mode. So I want to put you into that
Okay.
position.
Push the right buttons. I'm game for anything. Actually, I had lunch before I came here, so I can't hold them to that. Oh, this is neat. Isn't this amazing?
Yeah.
Remember the days when I used to have to crank them up?
Oh, I remember those days. And
I
now
used to-
these are all, there's hydraulics, and you can do a lot of things now with these beds that I mean, I was around when we didn't even have Geminis, you know, the IV
Oh,
pumps
yeah,
and stuff.
really?
So yeah,
Oh, my, look at this.
and the foot comes up, and
Isn't this incredible?
this actually, if you take off
I was 5'10" when I came here, now I'm 6'3". I love it.
yeah, actually that bottom will, we take it off and continue it down. Patients can stand on the floor, then we can raise the bed up a little bit, and then
Is it?
stand them right up from this bed, from the chair position.
How many beds are there like this in here?
We're going to have 14 of these beds, and two of
Oh,
the
my.
beds are, they're called sport beds. They actually rotate the patient from side to side.
And that's important in some cases.
Yes, a lot of our respiratory patients, so it'll be very important for them to help with
I
that.
think it's important right here, before we go too much farther, is explain what the role of an intensive care unit is in a medical center for people who fortunately have never had to be there.
Well, we have a lot of respiratory patients, you know, surgical patients that need that a little bit more monitoring. We have the capability of monitoring them more closely than they can on the floors because we have more technology to use. There's Swan Gans, catheters for one thing. It's a little catheter goes into your heart to measure fluid, make sure we're giving them enough fluid and not too much, and just to see, you know, how their cardiac status is doing. A lot of people on ventilators. Of course, there's been a lot of pneumonias going around, and I think everybody's aware of that, especially with the scare over in the Asian
Oh,
countries.
yes.
Yeah. Just a lot of medical problems. A lot of people are really, really sick, and our goal is to get them to that point where they don't need as intensive monitoring, and then go to the floors and still recuperate to the point that they can go home safely. Our whole goal
So
is
it just means more intensive care.
more intensive care.
That's why it's called the intensive care unit.
Yep.
Now, to work here, was that your choice?
Oh yes, I've always wanted to be. When I was in nursing school, we had to do our rotation in the intensive care, and that was my first love.
Isn't that amazing? And I have such high admiration for people like you, because it's not the easiest place to work in a hospital.
No, you know, there's some down times when your patients don't do as well, but there's the good times when, you know, you've really worked hard on the patient and they get better, and you can see the families just say, wow, you know, they're getting better. And we've had a couple come back, and they actually, one had a T-shirt, and on it said, "I survived ICU."
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I
it was.
survived ICU.
I survived ICU. I mean, I've been here that long. I mean, there's been a lot of people that have come back, but you know, it would be interesting to see how people that have been here before can actually, if they've come through the open houses, and there's being one today from 3 to 5, how they can appreciate the fact between the old unit and the new unit, and looking at the
It's
aesthetics.
amazing. It's amazing and wonderful. How big a staff would man this floor on a regular basis, do you think?
We usually have at least 6 nurses. It depends on the amount of patients. So usually 6 nurses on each shift, and there's 3 shifts, so there's 18 in here at all times.
Well, you know, I can never talk about critical care and intensive care without mentioning my wonderful daughter, Barbie. And when she went to nursing school, she decided, like you did very early, that she wanted to work with critical patients, and has through her entire career. And how a person has the stamina and strength to do that over a long career, I'll never know, but the good Lord gave you good parts.
Yes, they did. Yeah, and you have to work out. You have to exercise, and you know that really helps you, because you do a lot of physical work, and these beds are going to help us. So
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Talk about technology. That's absolutely incredible.
yeah, because actually we can move the when you're laying down flat, the foot of the bed comes in. So any patient that is shorter, you want their feet up a little bit near the head or the foot of the bed closer to their feet, so they're not going to slide down. We don't have to keep pulling the patients up and have to worry about causing more damage to their skin. So this is great.
Anything else about this room that you'd like to talk about before we move along? It's certainly bright and well equipped.
We have bathrooms in between each room.
That's a good
This
idea.
is a nurse's thing. We really wanted bathrooms for those patients that, can get up and we're waiting for it to move out onto the floor. We now have a bathroom they can use instead of.
Isn't that wonderful?
Oh, that's a big thing
Now,
right there.
when a person has an operation, let's say a youngster has tonsils out, would they go into the intensive care unit for a few hours before they're released? Then
No, not tonsils. There's certain criteria for people to be admitted.
I see. Okay.
You know, they have to be what we call hemodynamically unstable, which all it means is your blood pressure is not good, your heart rate is not good, or if they just want to watch the patient, make sure they're going to be able to breathe okay. Some surgeries they've done some surgical. Done some surgery around their throat or in their mouth or face, or if there's any kind of a surgery like that, and then you'd want to monitor them to make sure they can breathe okay, not have any problems.
So a person may stay a short time in here, or may have an extended stay, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, we've had them stay for 2 to 3 months. Sometimes depends on what their underlying problem is, but our goal is to get them out to the floor in a timely manner, but to make sure they're ready to go up to the floor.
I'm impressed. And we haven't even hardly begun yet.
No, you haven't. There's a lot more to this unit.
Linda, thanks so much for talking with us.
thank
Good
you.
luck and have a wonderful day.
You too.
Keep doing what you do.
Thank you.
I know in about 2 minutes we go right for the boss, and we sure have. Stevens Mundy, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you today, Gordy?
I'm just terrific. How does it make you feel when you step up here and see the fruits of all this hard labor?
Yeah, it's just a beautiful place to come up. The staff up here does a great job, and they're going to have a place that mirrors it. So we're just thrilled with it.
You came in here just about on the ground floor of this operation, didn't you?
We actually started it a couple months after I got here. But they've done all the work and the planning beforehand. So I can't claim any of it. I'm just glad to enjoy it and congratulate them on the hard work for it.
Since Stevens came here and became president of this wonderful institution, there have been quite a few exciting things happen. And as we've mentioned before we did this interview with you, we've seen exciting things happen here ever since I moved to this town 40-some years ago. But now it seems like things are really beginning to blossom.
Yeah, this is kind of this sets the stone. It's kind of almost the cornerstone for a lot of the things we're doing. The advanced critical care capabilities that we'll have here will serve as that cornerstone for bringing the cardiac program in and other things that we do beyond that. But we need this anyway, but we couldn't do cardiac without this.
You know, this cardiac idea is not a throwaway idea. It's one I want to talk about a little bit before we go any farther, because for me, that's about as exciting as it gets.
Yeah.
This marriage with St. Peter's and all the other things that you're planning to do here are just incredible.
Oh, it is. The folks at St. Peter's, I can't say enough good about them. They've done so much for this community. They've never sent us a bill once. You look at all they're
Those
doing.
are good friends.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good friend. In fact, just in a couple of days, they're going to be up here doing a presentation on when they brought it into their organization, how did it affect them? And you know how it affects the OR and nursing and things like that. You don't think about how it affects the lab and respiratory and housekeeping and dietary and all those other things. And so we'll be exploring that and going through it. But they're just a super group, and I don't think the community really understands. I think they're excited about cardiac and bringing it here. I don't think they understand what a tremendous thing it will be for them.
The implications are limitless.
They are.
We talk about, I like to think about the CVPH Medical Center as my medical center. And I'd like to impart that idea on all of our viewers out there, because they all have a piece of it, don't they?
They do. They do. It is truly a community asset. And someone asked me, who owns CVPH? And I quickly answer, you do.
You do.
Yeah, not the community. And I mean, that's the global answer, but the real answer is you do. I do.
Some of our viewers may not have seen your face before and known who you are, and that's one of the reasons we're talking with you today, because we like your philosophy. We also like your accent. And I want to know what was the transition like when you came to town here?
Well, you know, it's been a real cold winter here, and I'm a skier.
I knew he'd start with that, but you are a skier.
I'm a skier, and so I really love it. But I gotta say, Gordy, you know, the area that I worked in West Virginia, because I'm on this, I've done some work with the ski patrol. The area in West Virginia where I came from has a deeper base than Whiteface does this year. So I've come north, but I've left the snow down south this year only.
We have had the strangest weather. We're not going to talk for hours about the weather here.
Yeah.
They're trying to run some international races on Whiteface last weekend when it was 50, 60 degrees.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was just this past Sunday. My wife and son and I went for a walk on Lake Champlain over to Valcour, and we saw four-wheelers, pickup trucks, snowmobiles, an amphibious six-wheeler, cross-country skiers, a mountain biker, lots of other walkers. And then we get back in our car and we're heading up to town, and we see a guy running by in shorts and no T-shirt.
Isn't it amazing?
So we saw it all that
best
day.
of all
That's
worlds.
right, we saw it all that
Well,
day.
you stick around in a couple of weeks past the end of March. You'll maybe see a few of those four-wheelers and pickup trucks and six-wheelers
Down in the,
heading south.
and I understand
They
that
just can't get them off in time. So.
yeah, I understand that in the next we're due for a big snowstorm about the early part of April. So
I like this guy right until that moment. Right until, yeah, we do. We had one last year around the beginning of April. I remember. Calvin remembers that. Well, it certainly is an interesting place. Have you ever visited Plattsburgh before you moved here?
it's interesting, and when before I got in healthcare, when I was right out of college, I worked for a trucking company, and I was did some dispatch work, and I was in sales, and one of my accounts was GP here in town, Georgia Pacific. So I came to Plattsburgh twice in the 4 years I worked with the company, and called on the shipping department over at Georgia Pacific. So to those guys, hi.
Yeah. Amazing. So now you're really settling in. I mean, you're building barns and houses and all kinds of things, and life is good.
Yeah, we're getting settled in, and just love the area. It's interesting. My family's been up to visit us, I think, 4 times, and in the last 3 years we were in West Virginia. I think they visited us once between them. So
there's a
my
tribute to
family's,
the North.
I've increased the tourism to the area.
I think you have. I think that's great. Well, I want to say that we're so pleased to be here today. We can't wait to talk to some of the other people on this unit. Can't wait to see it in full operation, and because we know the ultimate goal is to make the North Country, to improve that quality of life that we crow about all the time, and to help people to be well.
That's right. Our mission here is to provide quality health care in the North Country, and it's a very simple statement, but I think it reflects that you got to have a real simple focus to do a good job. If you get too broad, and that's what you see here today, is just more people trying to do a better job.
That's great. Stevens, thank you so much for caring enough to move to our town. We hope you stay here for a long, long time.
Thanks for having me.
Love to be here. We're having such a great time here today. Toward the end of March 2003 at the new intensive care unit at CVPH Medical Center in Plattsburgh. We don't care what it's like outside. Inside, the sun is shining, and it's going to shine on this wonderful new facility for a long time to come. With me is Karen O'Connor. How are you?
I'm fine.
We're delighted to have you invite us up here today to check this out. Michael told me something, and I'm not sure if I was supposed to share it, but I'm going to anyway, because I don't care. You couldn't possibly have worked here when the other intensive care unit opened in 1972.
Yes, I did. Yes,
You
I did.
were
I
just
was part of that. And
very, very young person in 1972. But what a difference. I mean, how can you even compare the two?
this unit was totally driven by staff input, had nurses collaborating together, and we had all different teams putting it together. We had an art team, we had a nurses station team, we had a nourishment center team, and room teams, and everything came together wonderfully. Whereas in the original unit, the first unit, it was not nurse driven, it was not staff driven. It was built. I remember moving into it. It was a day that I will not forget. Soon after we moved into it, we realized that we wished we had done certain things. We had come together a little bit more and put projects together.
You know, that's been happening lately, where management has decided to get more input from staff. This isn't the first time we've heard this story. As new units are added to this medical center, the staff is being asked, what do you think we ought to have? Because after all, who's in the trenches?
Well, that's true. Yeah, and we know, and we know how it works, and we know what the patients need. And that's why we had so much staff input into this project.
That's great. Now, as I have with everybody else, let me ask you when you first got into nursing. I need a little bit of your background. Are you a North Country girl?
Yes, I am. I was brought up in Moores, and I went to school here in Plattsburgh, and I graduated in 1970, and I've been working in the intensive care unit ever since. I was hired here at that time, and I didn't know where else. I just didn't want to work anywhere else. I just wanted to always work in
It's amazing how
ICU.
people develop that commitment and stick with it. I think you are to be commended so highly
Thank
for
you.
making that choice. It's hard work. We have a beautiful, bright place here, but it can be a little wild sometimes when things are serious. But when you go home at night, you have the satisfaction of saying, I helped somebody today.
Yes, that's true.
That's
I have.
a good thing.
Yeah.
Over the years, you've helped a lot of somebodies,
I've worked with a lot of patients over the years.
and that's good. It's nice to see them come in sick and go home well, isn't it, huh?
Yes, it is. And there's been many times that we've had some very acutely ill patients, and they've come back to visit us. And, of course, they don't look the same. They look well. They don't look traumatized, and they come back and thank us. Sometimes they tell us, we don't remember being here, but we certainly appreciate the work that all of the nurses did to help them get better.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah, and that's what makes it better. That's what helps.
Well, I can't finish our conversation without talking about paintings. But before we talk about paintings, I have to talk about Carrie and Erin. How did you pick those names of your two wonderful daughters? Just as a combination of your own name?
It was a combination of my own name, but my husband named my two daughters Richard, and he's been a great deal of support through all of this, throughout the years of my nursing here at the hospital. Yeah, and he's Irish.
Well, so Monday had to be a pretty good day then, huh?
Yes,
And your girls are all grown up and moved away?
yes, they have.
Where are they now?
They both live in Virginia.
No kidding. We were just talking about West Virginia with Stevens because he's got the accent. So he's from West Virginia. Now your daughters, how long have they been gone down there?
I have one daughter, my youngest daughter, Carrie, she's a counselor in a school system, Culpeper School
great.
System.
Oh, that's great.
And my oldest daughter is a chemical engineer for Merck Pharmaceuticals, and she's worked there since 1996.
They just chose Virginia, or just,
Well, that's where they got their jobs.
that's where you get
Yeah,
your
and
job.
that's where they
why
moved.
we've lost some of our kids. We'd love to have
Yeah.
them back, and maybe, just maybe, those kinds of jobs will be available here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's great. Now that we know about your wonderful family and your origins up in Moores, let's talk about the paintings. This is a very important part of this new critical care unit.
Yes, we wanted to bring in artwork into this unit because it was promoting the local environment, and as well as promoting a sense of healing for the patients. And as you walk through the unit, we've had some open houses with staff and with our families and friends, and they have also felt that way. They've come through and they said that one comment that was made was, it's not a sterile looking environment, it's a nice home felt, a homey feeling. And it is, it really is, with the curtains and the paintings, and it's truly beautiful. I'm very proud of it.
There's more of that today as we understand the psychology of being well and getting well. It's important to have nice music on occasion and to have good artwork.
Yes.
I know as being a member of the CVPH Medical Center Foundation, we've been responsible for helping to supply some artwork for various other units in the CVPH Medical Center, and I think it's a good thing. It's
Yes.
a good thing to see a nice piece of art. How many are there or will there be here? pieces of art? Can you remember? offhand?
There's numerous pieces. We had brought in several pieces of artwork, and they're all from local artists
Oh,
in
that's
the, in
great.
the area. We utilized almost all of them. We had the help of Jackie Sabrin and Sylvia Stack from the North Country Cultural Center, and in combination with Hannah Hanford, who coordinated, and Carrie Rafferty from the foundation office here at the hospital, and they helped coordinate bringing in the artwork. We also had a $15,000 donation from a raffle that was came about from a Dr. and Mrs. Hargraves. They raffled off a boat and gave us the proceeds for the artwork, which was absolutely wonderful. It's beautiful.
That's great. We
Wonderful
like
gift.
everything we've seen so far. Now, your position, you're a clinical coordinator,
Yes, I am.
and what does that entail now? In general?
We oversee the working of the unit, as it used to be called the old position was a head nurse, but now we have a director of the unit of critical care, which is Kathleen Carey, and there's myself and Linda Manchester, who is another clinical coordinator, and we have a clinical practice who is the educator, Storm Trainer, and we all work together as a team to keep this unit going.
That's what it's all about, teamwork, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, you get to know each other. When you work in a place like this, you get to know each other very well, very quickly, don't you?
Yes, yes, we do, and we also get to know our staff. We work with our staff, and
That's great. It's a good marriage with all the people that work together on a daily basis, and it's all part of the greater North Country community. Karen, thanks so much for speaking with us.
thank
Telling
you.
us so many good things. We can't wait to see the rest of it. You have a wonderful day and a great life, will you?
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. We'll corner anybody we can corner with our little microphone, and we have. First, we met Lillian Jutras. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
And you are Margaret Chapelone?
That's pretty good.
Chapelone?
Yeah, Cipollone. If my
Okay.
father-in-law's watching, it's Chiappellone.
Oh, Chapelone. All right.
Chapelone.
Well, we'll let him cook supper, too, right?
Yeah.
You were telling us about how important it is to have these beautiful big rooms fully stocked with everything at your fingertips.
Right, so that we don't have to run so far, since the unit's much larger. We're trying to save some time and some energy as far as having everything we need right in the rooms, and that's what I'm working on today, is stocking all the rooms.
Yeah, and to provide care faster. I mean, if you have someone who's critically ill who needs something now, you don't want to spend 10 or 15 minutes searching for something that should be right here to,
At your fingertips, sure. Yeah.
right.
Have you both worked in the intensive care unit for a while? Or is this,
Well, I've been a critical care nurse for 17 years, so yeah, for a while, I guess.
17 years? Wonderful.
I've been there for 4 years now.
Isn't that amazing? So many people decide to become critical care nurses. I mentioned earlier our daughter, Barbie Baker. She was Barbie Baker.
That's your daughter?
Ta-da.
You're kidding. I used to work with Barb.
Well, see
We
how,
taught
see how
together.
small the world
Yes, it is.
Well, Barbie's at
She's a very good nurse.
the Mather Memorial Hospital on Long Island and has been there for a long, long time. It's an entirely different setting from here, but she got her start here and went to, did you go to Clinton?
No,
She
I
went-
graduated from Plattsburgh State.
Plattsburgh State. Barbie went to Clinton, and she, like you guys, chose critical care and stayed with it. In ways I can understand it, and in ways I can't, because it's very, very hard work. So you're all to be tremendously commended for sticking with critical care all this time and still smiling. That's the best part
That's
of it.
because we're all crazy.
Well, that helps. Calvin and I can share a little piece of that puzzle, too.
Good sense of humor.
So what do you
have to have.
think about this new place? Your impressions?
I love it. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. I'm very proud. We worked really hard on this. I've been on the committee for, I think, 2.5 years, and planning and, working out the details. And it's the last couple weeks it's overwhelming because there's just so many details to try to make sure everything comes into place before you actually move a patient in here.
You
and have
trying to
take
get
care
out,
of
you can go by here.
So
We don't mind, we love the wheels of progress, and there they go.
I think it's
Right out the
beautiful.
door.
I don't know,
Yeah, I think
I
it's
mean-
really beautiful, and
just watching them put the curtains up and the blinds and all the little finishing touches. The colors are very soft. I mean, you know, there was a few little, of course, last minute kinks that needed to be worked out with different areas of
There
the
are
floor.
always
and,
glitches.
You know,
There
I
always
mean,
bound
it's
to
a
be
big
glitches.
project, but I think it came together very nicely, and the art is beautiful, and the light, and we were joking around. We've been in that unit for so long. We're like a bunch of moles because it's so dark in there. We're all going to be
It really is.
need
you know?
sunglasses to come out here.
It was
and work.
considered state of the art when it opened in 1972, but it wasn't designed to be user friendly
No,
for the
it's-
people who work there, and we might as well admit it now. And
probably
now,
not for the patients either. I mean, this here, the patients are obviously going to absolutely love it, and, you know,
I think it's a unit
There's-
too we tried to design that's going to grow with us as services expand and we go into open heart, and it's going
talked
to
about
be
that.
able to provide care for any type of patient that could land in our ICU. I think that's a big, you know, a big plus that we were trying to think
continue to
about.
expand with the times and everything.
but with you two working here, they won't be here very long. They'll just have
course
very
not.
short stays, and they'll be. We kind of love this place so far. We've seen several of the rooms and talked to a lot of the people who seem excited about it because it's being done right. At long last, it's being done right, and that's a good thing.
Right, right. The staff had a lot of input, and I sat in the committee as the staff's representative and kept, what do you think about this? This is what they're talking about this week, and it really, you can see that. People who come into the unit who are nurses go, wow, this is going to be a
Right.
nice
They
unit.
all want to
work."
transfer
They all
to
wanna-
critical care.
We should have had applications out there by the hors
Oh,
d'oeuvres.
son of a gun. Lil, I like to ask everybody where they're from, and you already told us before the camera started that you're from Shays.
I live in Shazy. Yeah.
Born and brought up there?
No, I'm originally from Montreal and traveled with my parents and been a little bit everywhere.
No Canadian accent?
No,
Oh.
no.
She can speak.
But I
French, so-
speak, yeah, my,
Very
yeah,
Oh, you
yeah.
got the.
Yeah, I learned English first, primarily.
Did you really?
Yeah, in school and everything, but my family all speaks French.
Came down, settled in this area, have a son in what, 7th grade?
7th grade, yeah.
Calvin said, did he play soccer? Yeah, for 1 year. Uh-oh, Calvin says you're going to have to move out of Shazy. It's a good place. How about you, lady? Where are you from?
I'm originally from Keysville, but I live in Morrisonville. I've been here for quite a while.
You live near me?
I live in Banker's Orchard,
Oh, my goodness. Isn't that
right
beautiful?
across from the Apple stand.
Of course. I live right next to the fire station, so.
You do?
Behind the video store.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to throw a long apple over the top and down at me, yeah, Morrisonville's a good place to live.
Yeah, I love
I'm
it.
close
there.
to the river, though, and we're watching it very carefully these days for reasons you can imagine. My house is that far from the banks of the river.
Oh, you're on that side of the road. Okay.
Yes, I am, right next to the river. It's a beautiful place most of the time, but in the springtime it can
Morrisonville's
really...
a nice town. I like the
It is.
school, and
Yeah.
I like where I live. It's close to
We're
work.
fortunate in so many ways. Calvin and I crow about Clinton County and the other counties in northern New York as being very special. And you know, every time we meet somebody new like you folks, I realize, yeah, I'm glad I came here all those years ago.
Yeah, Shazy's been a wonderful community for me. The school system's absolutely great, and unfortunately, my son doesn't do sports, but they're really involved in band and theatrics, and I mean, I find it very impressive what they do in such a small school.
This is another political subject that we aren't going to travel into extensively today.
Good.
But I write a weekly column in the newspaper, and I wrote one for next week about music in our schools, because I promoted it for so long, and I'm so afraid with some of the serious budget cuts that have to come, that some of the music education will fall by the wayside, and that would break my heart.
That's too
I
bad.
love to go to the musical presentations that the kids do. I know how enriching it is for youngsters to learn appreciation for music and to play an instrument.
Oh, absolutely. Playing the band, my son's in the band, and that's one thing he has stuck with, and to me, it's just, that's going to follow him the rest of his life, you know?
It's something you can stay stay with you. Whether you play the instrument for the rest of your life, you certainly will enjoy that appreciation for music and pass that along to your kids.
Yeah.
Did you play an instrument in school, Margaret?
I played the piano, actually.
Really?
Yes.
Took lessons for...
Yeah, from the nuns.
You learned only...
Sister Veronica was my piano
you
teacher.
learned only hymns and classical music,
No,
right?
no, I learned all kinds
you?
of stuff, which I don't play anymore, so I've lost a
You
lot
don't
of it.
play at
But
all?
no, I don't
Get
have
up.
time. I
Get
have 3
up.
kids. I
No.
work full time.
Yeah, I know. You don't have to explain. We raised a few kids in our house too, so we know that all about
Pick apples. I mean,
whatever it takes. You guys are great. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about in relation to your job here and how excited you are to be starting? We're just very, very happy with the way it looks. I know you were asked to talk about the stocking. We've done that.
Yep.
And just to have things at your fingertips, it'll be way more convenient. All for the benefit of the patients, of
Right.
course,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I can't wait. I can't wait till Monday.
Oh, well, you have to
Just
smile.
just to come into work and have light and be able to look out the window.
That's a biggie.
And
That is.
patients are so confused now.
That's
I
right,
mean,
yeah. That's true. Yeah,
The
just to have
light,
light.
even
yeah.
the nurses are,
oh,
just,
we're getting ugly.
yeah,
After how many months without
of
light?
I have
darkness.
a window in my office, and all of a sudden I looked up and the light started to turn red, and I said, oh no, is this a harbinger of things to come? And so I asked the office manager, why is my light turning red? She said, no, it's not a sign. It just means that the bulb is wearing out. They turn red when I said, okay, that's a new one, totally a new one on me.
I never thought it would be this nice.
No,
I really
me
didn't.
neither. Not this spacious and illuminated, and I'm anxious
See, I was
to-
here in 1986 when we were talking about a new ICU. And actually, a
I
group of
remember
us
very
traveled
well.
to Albany to look at their unit, and there was always a more lucrative project that kept bumping the ICU. There was the women, the Fitzpatrick Cancer Center, which is a great place, and then it was the Women and Children's Center, the
Yes,
emergency room,
sure.
the adolescent unit, and we kept going, okay, it's
Okay.
our turn, and then
Our
turn.
okay, we gotta wait.
And
And
now it's here.
I think it's one of the nicest units I've ever seen.
Thank you
Seen
so
a lot.
much. We understand. We have had a lot of
Plattsburgh should be
guests
really
through
proud.
this area, and I hope many people come through during the open house. And I know, unfortunately, there will be many of our friends who will be through when they don't feel so good, and let's hope you treat them all well and they go out here smiling as broadly as we're all smiling here today.
Right.
Thank you so much for talking with us, ladies.
Nice
welcome.
meeting you.
Have a great life.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Well, I tell you, when I get the microphone, we cut to the chase. We start talking about food right away. What, Sturgeon, how are you doing?
Very good, thank you.
And what is your nickname again?
Nickname's Butch. Real name's Renee.
Renee?
Rainey.
Rainey.
Yeah.
All right. So you're the director of what?
Food and Nutrition
I
Services.
love it. I told you we came to the right place.
That's right.
They're working on that now, right? As
Right.
That's downstairs.
Yes,
that
it
won't
is.
be done till...
Probably mid to late summer right now. We're looking at mid-July, probably mid-August. In construction projects, you can't nail it down a date.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but this is an ongoing project. The open house is for the main unit up here, but we walked
Right.
through a lot of construction
A lot of
downstairs.
construction. We've been planning since last September.
Have you really?
Yeah, once we made the decision to utilize that space to expand our services, we've been working every week, making plans, doing drawings. We hope to open before school starts. It should be sometime this summer.
Now, won't that be adjacent to the old cafeteria?
That's correct. The current area that we're in right now will expand. The seating area will expand. It'll go all the way out to the hallways you see in front of the building. We'll increase our seats by about 60 or 70. We'll increase our serving area by 50%. It'll all be brand new countertops, nice clean area, easy to clean, more space to put more food out, more things to offer more people.
Did you have to have anything to do with the open house here today?
Oh, we're doing all the catering for,
Are you
for
really?
their
I should
various
have known.
open
You might as well
houses.
talk about it. What kind of goodies? You're going to have punch and fruit and
Yeah.
little sandwiches.
We're local.
I love it. How big a staff do you have?
I have about 90 employees.
You got to be kidding.
Oh, yeah. No, we have a lot of people down there working very hard, 5 in the morning till 8 at night, 8:30 at night, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. just one meal right after another. It never stops.
Now, you're responsible for the people who sit down and eat there, but also for all the other food in the
For all the
facility?
patients, for any in-house catering that we do, all of our cafeteria, yes, few events that we do throughout the year for fundraisers and just for hospital gatherings, yeah, anything that has to do with food here in the building, we pretty much handle it.
Let's get a little bit of your background, Butch. How would a person like you get involved in this? Where are you from?
I'm originally from New Hampshire. Grew up on the coast, right in Portsmouth. Went to the University of New Hampshire, got my degree in nutrition, which is how I
That makes sense.
got into hospitals, and got into management. I actually work for a contract company, Aramark Corporation, as food service contract here at the hospital. It's been in existence since 1995. And I've been with that company for going on 17 years, this coming September.
That seems to be a good number for people who work here at this hospital,
Yeah.
too. 17 years.
Right, and I've worked
You're going to
at...
do it till you get it right, or...
Actually, I'm in a very good position right now. I've worked in probably 8 or 9 hospitals, and
wow.
I have no problem saying this is one of the best, maybe the best hospital that I've worked in. The administration is great, the support is fantastic, the thinking is forward, just a lot of great stuff. Looking forward to a long partnership with them.
You just never know what kind of perspective you have when you're North Country people, as Calvin and I are, and we talk a lot about the things we like, including this institution, but we never know if we're too close to make a good judgment. But I'm glad to hear somebody from New Hampshire say, up and around the world.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
this is one of the best.
Yeah.
I think that's great.
Yeah, when you come up, you might think that, but no, the thinking that we do here, everything is looking ahead, doing things the best we can, the latest technology. No, there's a lot to look forward to.
I don't think many of our viewers know what it takes to create all those meals in the course of a day, because a lot of the stuff has to be special, doesn't it?
A lot of it does, yeah. It's very hard to explain sometimes, and with the patients that we have probably close to 10 or 12 different types of diets, and when you start modifying foods, grinding and pureeing because of their special needs, yes, it gets very technical. You have to handle food very carefully. Our cooks are all trained to do that. And it's just it's a large process. A lot of communication that goes on to get the foods to the right area, to the right room, hopefully without any mistakes. We make very few of those, but the ones that we make, we correct. Yeah, it's a huge process.
I spend a lot of time at this medical center visiting friends and working on the foundation downstairs, and so I get a chance to go in quite a few patients' room, and I have to tell you, when the patients aren't feeling so well, I always want to feel like, you're not going to eat that, are you? Because the food looks mighty good to me.
It is. It definitely is. Our cooks do a great job. They deserve all the credit, because they're the ones who prepare it for the patients. We simply deliver it and ask them how they like it. We're always interested in their feedback, and we want to do better all the time. And it's one of those areas that everybody has their different likes, and with 200 and something patients on a daily basis, it's a challenge to meet those differences, but we try very hard to do that.
Do you ever get a chance to make something you really like yourself?
Yeah, occasionally I'll get a chance. Well, being the director, you might think I have a lot of clout, but sometimes the cooks don't allow you. I mean, when you get down there, you do realize who's sometimes really in charge. People like to make what they're good at, but every once in a while I try to get my 2 cents in and say, let's try this. I think people might like it.
That's great. So are you making Plattsburgh your home these days then, right?
I definitely am, yes. Yeah, I have a wife and 3 boys in the area, all in from 7th grade down to kindergarten. We really enjoy the area. It was a great opportunity for us. I was glad it came along.
The kids all go to the same school?
They do. We live over in Peru.
Yep, that's great. Well, we've spent a lot of time talking about our strong school systems here in the North Country, and we're fortunate to have such a great public and parochial education system up here.
Definitely. One of the largest advantages for us was being in kindergarten. New Hampshire didn't offer full-day kindergarten, tax expenses paid, and we have that here. So we welcome that. That was nice for us. But it is a very good school system, very happy. They're active in sports. They're active with their friends. It's a great quality of life. I mean, that's for us, that was the big decision making. And we made it as a family decision. We all came up together to look at the area before I even interviewed for the job. So it's good for all of us.
This will go on the Chamber of Commerce video too, right? But we're glad you're here. Thanks so much for all your hard work. We can't wait to come back when it's all finished
You're welcome.
sometime in July or
Can't wait to
August.
show it to you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Well, let me see. I found the guy that makes the food, and I found a chair, so I'm going to be all right now. Kathleen, Carey, how are you?
I am very good, very, very excited.
You have been nothing less than scurrying since we arrived on this floor. That's what you get for being the boss.
They just let me think that.
I've seen Kathleen, Carey, put out at least 12 fairly major brush fires since we arrived here about an hour ago. I wonder when that's going to end. When are you going to be able to stand back and say, okay, I'm okay now?
Monday afternoon after we move in. I think, Gordy, everything's pretty well underway now. The team in the community and the team in the hospital have all worked to open this unit. As you can see around here today, there are people in every corner, every cupboard, every room, putting supplies in, cleaning, planning, and it's taken a massive number of people to get to where we are today.
You know, we've been getting lots of different points of view, but everybody to a person has talked about how it's a family effort, a community effort, how everybody has worked together and nobody's shirking their duty. Whatever is to be done, somebody grabs the box or answers the telephone or whatever that happens to be. I'd like to go back to the beginning when this was just a germ of an idea and tell our viewers how it all began.
Approximately 2.5 years ago, we started talking about the unit. Now, to back up a little bit, prior to that, I came here in 1990, January of 1990, and prior to that, there are physicians and nurses on the team who had been talking about building a new ICU for 10 years prior to that.
Sure.
So in 1990 till 2.5 years ago, we have several project plans of building a new ICU. 2.5 years ago is when we committed and decided we are going to do this. So for approximately 2 years, we sat and planned. And what we did is we utilized a team of people, again, right from the beginning, and we used the Academy of Architects, Society of Critical Care Medicine, and AACN to guide us through the whole project. We then developed a team within the hospital from all areas of the hospital, from facilities, from engineering, from dietary, from nursing. Physicians sat on the team, Dr. Baker, Dr. Bunn, Dr. Collins, who are medical directors, sat with us, and people from ISS for the computers, public relations, infection control, and we met nursing from my staff, and we met every week. And as the meetings progressed, we sometimes met twice a week. And we visited places. We went to hospitals where they won awards for their design. And we visited 4 or 5 places, and we picked out of those units things that we thought would fit into the North Country and into our community. Setting up intensive care units in large cities that look like hotel rooms is not what we were going for. But we very much were going for a healing environment. So as I'm sure you've heard today, that come up a few times. From the color schemes to the art we used to the ability to see out of the windows. That's what we look for.
How many people have mentioned windows, especially the nursing staff?
Yeah, it's because for years, there are 3 nurses here, Karen O'Connor, Peggy de Grandpré, and Storm Trainer, who were nurses that opened up the intensive care unit that exists now in around 1969, I think. And they will be moving with us on Monday. They will be the 3 nurses that will cut the gauze.
They'll be dancing a jig on the way up here.
They will be dancing a jig, and they will tell you from the time they opened up the old intensive care unit, there has been very little light in there. So that was one requirement, that every single person on the team, we interviewed patients and families. That was a consistent theme with everyone, that we have the ability to see out, which, as you can see in here, there's not all the lights are on today, but the natural light that flows through here. And when any of us are not feeling so well, I think if you can see a blue sky or see a tree or see a bird fly by, that helps. So that very much is what we were looking for. The windows are very large. And where the patient lies in the bed, he always has the ability to see outside. When a nurse and a doctor are in the room working, they always have the ability to see outside. Critical care is called critical care. The patients in here are very, very sick. They are critical. And sometimes they are not able to get out of bed. Sometimes they do not feel like lifting their head off the pillow. If they can just look out the window and see something, that will help. We know by research that if patients have the ability to see nature, have options within the room that they're lying in, noise can be reduced, and we have family support, that we're going to have much better outcomes for those patients. And those are the 4 themes that we used in building the unit. All of the equipment we're bringing in, we try to reduce down noise. The ice machine sitting behind us, we turned it on yesterday, and we feel like it's too loud, so it's being replaced.
Isn't that interesting?
When the patients are in here resting, they really, really need to sleep. We wake the patients up a fair amount to check blood pressures and give medicines. So when we're not doing that, they really, really need to have a time to rest. So we certainly don't want noises from around the unit waking them up. Our current unit does not have doors on every room. And our Press Ganey is what we use to rate the care. We send that to all of our patients. The consistent theme for the last 11, 12 years that I have been here has been noise in the intensive care unit. And that's a real thing. So in here, we know that that's going to be improved. The care that the nurses have given and the healthcare team and the physicians have given, we've always got outstanding ratings for our care. But noise has been, and privacy have been one of the big issues that patients and families have. So we're hoping that's going to take care of that. And I probably want to mention, too, that when we're talking about patients and families, the waiting room, if you've ever been involved in my old intensive care unit, the waiting room is approximately 140 square feet, maybe, on a good day. And we have large families in the North Country, and when people are sick, we want families here and they want to be here. One of the major renovations that are occurring, we open Monday the 24th. On Tuesday the 25th, they will start renovating the old intensive care unit, and a major portion of that is going to be a new waiting room. And the waiting room will be approximately 1,000 square feet, if I'm remembering correctly.
10 times bigger.
Yeah, and in that will be seating enough for 3 to 4 family members for every patient. It'll have a shower and a bathroom and a kitchen with sleeping chairs, so that when I mentioned one of the 4 things we strive for was family support for the patient, we will be able to attain that with that waiting room.
It's a neat place. I'm struck by the colors and the warmth and the feeling I get here, and I can imagine how it would help people feel better to have all this wonderful light, this nice color scheme that just it wasn't happenstance.
No,
People
we
thought
spent,
about it.
Absolutely. We spent a lot of time. We had color specialists actually come in and talk to us about that. We had lighting specialists come in. If you're lying in a bed, you don't want a bright light shining in your face, so much of our lighting is able to be dimmed, and it's soft lighting. So yeah, we really, we're not experts in that. So we really consulted people and asked people to come in who are experts in it to guide us along that way.
Well, we're very pleased with what we see. Well, do you want to explain this medicine dispenser behind me, or what?
Sure.
Because I'm just find that this is modern technology and it's very finest. I don't know if Calvin can get an idea what it looks like.
Yeah, as what we're looking at here is it's referred to as an automated medication system, and for years past, a nurse would have to look at a piece of paper and determine at what time of day and what hour a patient would need what medicine. Right now, what a nurse does is we still have medication computerized sheets, but she can go to this computerized system, put in her patient's name or select the name, All the patient's medicines then come up on the computer screen, and the nurse can give her medicine. So if a patient is on low pressure, for example, with a touch of the screen, she can hit the dose of low pressure she needs, and into the computer system, the drawer in the pocket pops open where the low pressure is kept.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yep, and the nurse can take out the medicine, and then it logs it into the computer. So if we have to do any research or any checking on exactly what time a medicine was taken out, we have that information.
Isn't that great?
Yes, it's wonderful.
I don't know
It's
how
wonderful.
new this equipment must be, but it's
The system, this type of system, has probably been available to us for 10 to 12 years, and we got it into our hospital here probably 4 years ago, 5 years ago maybe, and it's going throughout the hospital.
It is.
Yes, it is, and it is part of us trying to reduce down the medication errors that we know about nationally do occur, and this is part of the system that really helps us do that.
It seems to me when the emergency care center opened up, 1997, that they were either had something similar to this or were thinking about getting it.
They did, and I think down there, Fay was one of the first departments to get that in. And in such a fast pace down there with many, many patients turning around as quickly as they do, having a system like this not only saves the hospital personnel time, but they get the meds to the patient much quicker.
You know, I have to ask you before we finish the interview, this is an amazing and wonderful place. Do you have the feeling that you've just born a child?
In a way, yes, except, you know, somebody asked me something similar this morning, but there have been so many people that have worked on this that this by no means is my project. I can't begin to tell you that it's hundreds of people and patients and families and community members and board members that have worked on this project. I think back over to the 2.5 years, and I can't think of any department or any practice or any physician specialty that really hasn't been involved in this. So I think it's a project that the hospital and the community are going to be proud of for a long time.
Well, your influence is everywhere here, and like everybody else we've talked to, you're very modest. But we know how hard you've worked on this project, and the work ain't done yet, in case you thought it was. But to pay you another compliment, we've interviewed a number of people and talked to a number of people about this place, and they all have chosen to work in critical care, and they love it here.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is
Yeah.
because the work can be so gratifying, because it's nursing at its best, isn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. And I tell new nurses that are coming into critical care that once they come here, they probably won't want to do anything else. And for us, the reason that is in critical care, you do the total care. You're the nurse, you're the RN, and you do the total care for the patient. And once you do that type of nursing, it's hard to do anything else.
Is there any other aspect of this room that you'd like to cover before we finish this interview?
No.
You've done very well.
I think
You had
we're
it
good.
all well organized in your mind. There's only one thing left to do, and that's to say hello to Neil for me.
Hi, Neil.
And have yourself a wonderful life at your new critical care
Thank you
unit
very,
there.
very much. Thank you for coming today.
We're sitting here with a dear old friend of mine, and I said old very quickly.
Yes, thank you very much.
I'm
That's
the only
gracious
one
of
that's
you.
old around this table. Chris Blake from the Public Affairs Office. How are you?
Very good, Gordy. How are you?
You and I have known each other since you were on the radio.
I know, long
How
time
many
ago.
years ago was that?
I'm not telling. Well, I was in radio in college, so that was in the middle 80s.
Isn't that amazing? Time flies
Yeah.
when you're having fun. How long have you been at the hospital?
Almost 12 years. 12 years next year, I believe.
It's hard for me to believe. She lives in Morrisonville.
Yes, in a new
When
location.
Oh, you moved?
Oh, we've moved.
Now what?
Now we're off of Mason Street. We are in Thomas L. Park.
Oh, are
in West
you
Plattsburgh.
really?
Yes, just bought that in July. 3 weeks in a camper, I might add.
Did
Prior
you
to
spend-
moving in,
I
yes.
spent lots of time in
Oh.
campers. I
Yeah, but
liked
this was
it.
forced.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, a puppy and a
I had
5-year-old.
no idea you had moved to Thomas L. Park. You and
Yes.
I don't get to chat.
No.
You're in the office early nursing a cup of coffee or something when I'm flying into a foundation meeting, and I think there is one at 7:30
Yeah.
tomorrow morning.
Yep.
But so we don't get time to chat and compare notes. And how about your wonderful family?
Everybody's doing well. Everybody's doing well. My daughter is a kindergartner in Mrs. Pellerin's class in Morrisonville.
Yeah.
She's doing well. And Mom and Dad are doing well. My brother's working, and
That's terrific. Yeah, you telling me that I won't see you walking by my house?
not unless I'm going to get a movie.
Oh, wow. You can,
I'll wave when I go to get a movie.
you're more likely to see my dog in the window than me, my big white
I've
dog,
seen
Kia.
it, yes.
He loves to watch people outside. Well,
The watchdog.
now what were we going to talk about? You said you had something you wanted to talk about.
We are going to talk about the time capsule.
Old time capsule,
The
yes.
time capsule.
Tell me
Yes,
about it.
yes. Myself and Karen from the ICU are working on putting together a time capsule that will be put in the foundation of this edition. We'll have a little ceremony in July to commemorate the event. Staff from ICU have contributed items, mostly stuff related to the work environment, but some things related to the year events and that kind of thing. We've had some pictures taken of staff and an old pacemaker that seemed to be important to them. So we have that in there. Of course, the constraints are, it's a small thing.
A little
but
metal box you're going to have? Or
yeah, it's a little tube
I
kind
love
of thing.
time
and then it's
capsules. I think
well,
that's
it's a
so
neat
great.
idea. Actually, it was. I think it was Stevens Monday's idea, to be honest with you. And so we said, well, if the guy wants it, let's do it. And so that's what we're doing. But it's turned out to be quite a neat project. And I think when it's all said and done, it's going to be a pretty marvelous thing.
So when are you putting that in?
July.
Not till July?
Yeah. Well, and it's actually for the building. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's commemorate the building. So there'll be a plaque on the corner that says, inscribed as to when it was put in. And so it's pretty neat.
Well, we've covered quite a bit of ground today, actually, in describing this new facility, but we should mention to our viewers again, especially those who might have tuned in a little bit after we started, there's a whole floor below us that'll be worked on for months after
Yes.
this part of the
Yes.
critical care unit is finished.
Yeah, the work is not done when the upper level is completed. A new boardroom is being created and our cafeteria is being expanded.
Oh, yeah.
So
We
as you
talked
can
about that.
tell, everybody's excited about that. And an added plus will be the hallway that will connect. It actually won't connect, but you'll spend less time outside coming from our lobby over to the medical office building. And I've seen myself patients who have either come from the hospital and have to go over to the medical office or vice versa. It'll be a somewhat protective environment, so it'll be nice. It really will be.
You and I have not chatted on the air in a long time, so I'm not going to get rid of you in 2 seconds here. So plan to sit tight.
Okay, all right, I tried.
I don't think a lot of people are aware of what you do all day in the public affairs office at this medical center. Just
no,
tell
you're
me
probably
what
right.
tell me what a typical day is like for you.
Typical day for me is never typical, and that's why I like the job. I couldn't do a
never
job
know,
that
do
is
you?
the same
No,
every
I
day.
couldn't either.
Primarily, my job to date has been a lot of writing. I do somewhat fair amount of desktop publishing, so I'm doing brochures and advertising and
are
that
you
kind of
really?
thing.
See, I
Yeah,
didn't
I do
even
all
know
that
that.
stuff for.
Oh, wow.
We work on the internal newsletter, and then of course my favorite part of my job is though to work with the media representatives. It's my
Ta-da,
old,
ta-da,
yes,
ta-da.
dipping in a little bit to the old life. And so then there are the special events, the Eat Dessert Firsts and the evening presentations. I work a lot with the foundation doing publicity and getting the word out about all their great events. But I also will sometimes deal with patients and complaints and those kinds of things. But it's never typical, and that's why I like it.
Well, you've been at it long enough, so you ought to be able to answer most of the questions off the top of your head.
Maybe.
I just saw Hannah Hanford and Carrie Rafferty show up from the foundation office with the first group that's coming through for
Yes.
another open house here today.
Batman and Robin.
Yeah, Batman and Robin. What a wonderful team they
Aren't they
are.
great? We're so lucky to have
Just
them.
terrific people,
Yep.
and I've never seen anybody work harder than
No.
those
No.
two people.
It's
Of
unbelievable
course,
what
I've
they
known-
accomplish.
known Hannah for a long, long time, and then Carrie came in, and she's just a
Dynamo.
Talk
She
about a
really
ball
is.
of fire.
Yep.
Anyway, that's my little contribution to the medical center, working through that foundation, which is a very good adjunct
Yes, it is.
It
It is.
to this hospital, and doing. Many of our viewers might not know they work on mini grants for various units in the hospital. They do so many special programs throughout the year that are designed to help men and women with their health issues. They raise funds to add to these funds that were already started, some of them many years ago,
Yeah.
by the little radio station that I worked for, to help people who have health-related issues. And now they got a heretofore campaign for health care set up to help people who have to travel
Yeah.
out of town.
We even have a fund now that the foundation established that helps our employees who are going through some sort
Oh,
of traumatic
and it's a
time, and
good-
you can it's a
what a
loan
great
kind
idea.
of thing. Yeah, that's that's one of the things I think that folks don't understand about the foundation. You see the lecture advertisements and those kind of things, but they do lots of little things each day that touch many lives, and it might be just a pat on the back or a $50 loan to help you with whatever employees, or just somebody to talk to. And Hannah and Carrie are always there. They're a special bunch. They really are.
We know from the people we've talked to today, Stevens, Mundy, and Mike, and others, that this is a very big employer in this area.
Yes, it is.
So
Yes,
it's
it
pretty
is.
hard for any of us, no matter where we live in the North Country, not to have a relative or a friend or somebody down the street who has worked or does work at CVPH Medical Center. And those people who work here not only treat people who are being traumatized by illness and catastrophic events of one kind, but yeah, they're regular people, so they have those things happen in their own lives.
Sure, sure.
And that's why what you're talking about is so absolutely important. I can think of some of the heinous crimes that have been committed in the North Country, where people who've worked here and are committed, where young people who work here through no fault of their own have been killed in motor vehicle accidents and snowmobile accidents and what have you. So that what I want people to know that this is our community hospital. This is our community medical center, the North Country Medical Center. So when we can give back a little bit to those people who work here, that's not a bad thing.
No, of course not. Of course not. And we're like a little family unto ourselves. It's a large family, but it is. And when one of ours is hurt or ailing, I'm always amazed at the generosity and the kindness that other employees will show. It really is a special place.
It's very nice to be here for the very newest thing that's been added to CVPH Medical Center, because in the course of Calvin's friendship with me and my friendship with him, we've done a number of programs for and about this, especially during the Diamond Jubilee year, the Physicians Hospital.
Yeah.
We went into the bowels of this place, and we went in onto the roofs and the rooms that people never see.
That's right. That's
and
right.
we had, I got to tell you,
You saw some
that
stuff.
was like spelunking in the Mammoth Caves for me. There was only one program I enjoyed more, and that was a whole bunch of barns with old cars in them up north, and I'm just going crazy. It was like the clown car, and we'd finish one barn, and he'd say, "Yeah, but come on over," and he'd open a door, and there'd be 50 more old cars. Well, that was true of our tour through the CVPH Medical Center, from the old elevators to the old rooms to the old theater, the operating rooms, part of which still exists up there.
Yeah.
So all the great stories. I still haven't collected all the ghost stories yet, but there are so many.
There's some rumor of some more that you need to speak to.
Some more. Well,
yes, we got you connected.
You gotta
We'll connect
keep me
you.
more.
Yeah.
If I live long enough, I'll get these ghost stories published, and I'm sure CVPH will be a large part of that. The guests are arriving.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you think you'd like to add to the mix today? I know you've worked here for 12 years, and you're going to still be here in time to come. And if people have questions about the medical center, I think it would be a good idea for them to call your office. You can send them in the right direction,
Sure.
right?
Yes. We're always willing. Usually we are the first stop. If people have questions, they'll either stop in or call, and that's our job. So we love to see people, hear what they have to say.
What's the phone number down there?
562-7320 would be our direct line.
7320. Email? No? Yes?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can email us online. You can contact us through our website.
Oh, the website.
www.cvph.org. So we'd love to hear from people. You were talking about me being here so long. I was watching you guys doing the interviews. I thought to myself, I've probably sat through 5 or 6 of these building task force.
Yeah.
And I'm always at awe of the expertise and the knowledge that people bring to these tables, and the discussions, and right down to the very smallest of details, where the soap dispensers are going to go, and everything is thought out and laid out so carefully. And it's amazing to me how that it all comes together. A facility like this, I mean, it starts out with a dream, and the colors, and we want this, and we have it, and then all of a sudden here we are. And the ER was the same way, the Center for Women and Children. I mean, it's just we have an amazing group of people who work here. We really do.
Yeah,
We really do. I'm always
pleased
astounded.
to be
Always.
a part of that and to talk about it and to promote it because it's absolutely true. I'm also exceedingly pleased that in the last few years, the people who work here have been allowed input into
Yes.
anything that's been added. You talk about the soap dispensers and the color schemes and the paintings and how the rooms are laid out, how they're stocked.
Sure.
To make it easier not only for the patients, but for the folks who work here
Sure.
as well. And so it's got to make you feel more like a part of the family.
Sure.
If you said, yeah, I think you ought to do so-and-so, and by golly, they
There
listen
it
to
is.
you.
There it is. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, they're in on the planning meetings, so that it isn't one of these grandmotherly or grandfatherly events where somebody comes down and says, "Okay, here's how we're going to do it." The people who are actually going to work in this facility were sitting at the table, and when the architect or the engineer said, "We're going to do this," the RN would go, "Well, that's not going to work," or "That's a great idea," or "How about this?" And the RN meets with the architect, and all of a sudden, you've got a new appreciation of what's needed, and ultimately, the patients benefit. That's really what it's all about, is designing a great facility for our patients.
Well, we hope that most of our viewers will never have to see the inside of this critical care center at CVPH because they're sick. We hope that many of them will get a chance to see it during an open house or some other event which allows them to be pleased by the same things that have pleased us. Chris, thanks so much
Marty, it's
for
always
all
good
the hard
talking to
work you do. It's great to see you.
Thanks.
We'll be together many times in the future, I'm sure. We'll wrap it up in just a moment. Just before we go outside to wrap up our program on what has turned out to be a fairly sunshiny day in March of 2003, we wanted to give you an idea about the work in progress. You heard us talk earlier about how many things were going to be done downstairs, including the new waiting room and the expanded cafeteria, etc. You can get a little cross-section view of how things are going down here. And mind you that probably the next time we come in here with our cameras, this will be all finished, hopefully by July or early August in the summer of 2003. So it's been a fantastic time, and it will continue for a long time to come. And as we're talking on this, whatever day this is, what day is this? The 19th or
Wednesday the 19th.
Wednesday the 19th. Very good. I just got lucky that time. As we're recording this on the 19th day of March 2003, there will be many people in and out of this facility as an open house, and that's why people have been going back and forth inside the yellow caution lines. And we'll be outside in the sunshine in just a moment. Well, it's just about time to put a lid on another Our Little Corner program. We wanted to do it in the outside where you could get a view of what we just saw from the inside. The new, it says future site of the CVPH Critical Care Unit. In a matter of days, the new part of the unit will be open. In a few months, the whole thing will be in full operation. And from here, I noticed we can get a view of not only the new building, but earlier construction modules, if you will, at CVPH Medical Center, including the old Physicians Hospital, which dates back now well over 75 years. So it's kind of neat to be here on this day or on any other day. And we're not looking for somebody to put a Band-Aid on something or get medication. It's great to see it from this side, inside out. We thank you for supporting CVPH Medical Center. We thank you also for supporting all the things we do on Hometown Cable. We think Our Little Corner is an important part of the North Country, and we'll risk almost anything except serious life and limb to get a job done. And you know, I'm not sure that was a high point in my life to get in that crunched up bed today, but I thought it was a real neat experience, and I can just imagine what it must be like for people who are ill and need something like that. Better for the nurses, better for the people involved, and better for all the doctors. CVPH Medical Center, a tremendous part of the North Country. And who knows where we're going to be next time for Our Little Corner.